over 42 years ago.
Good ball in. Still with Morocco. Surely.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
Everything that takes place in that party is being done by volunteers.
What the law requires is audited accounts.
I mean, in most federal systems, we see that the federal government is engaged in policy formulation, setting standards, quality control, and so on and so forth. And then you leave the nitty-gritty to the lower levels of government.
For every period of governance, for every presidency, there's a defining moment.
Independent Television. AIT, sharing the African experience.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Kaakaki on Africa Independent Television AIT. I am Adora Onyecha.
And I am Senami. Welcome. It's Thank God It's Friday.
Thank God It's Friday. Are you in a hurry to live? Make people
Not
miss
really,
you?
But it's a good thing to catch some rest on Saturday, Friday night, Saturday morning, whatever you like to do.
All right, okay. Senami, you did not introduce yourself completely. I'm waiting to hear you say, I am Senami, weather forecaster of Mohad.
When did I become that? I am Senami Ohiomokai. Welcome to the breakfast show.
Well, yesterday, of course, talked about the sky yesterday, though.
I know, we doubted my reading of the sky. I did tell you that we were going to have a clear sky and a warm day, and you said I might as well predict the color.
Oh, the chameleon, yes, talking about chameleon. And it was because of you I said I had a pet called a chameleon. Well, what does the weather hold for you in today? Well, maybe, I don't know, but maybe Sky Reader, why don't you tell me?
Now that I am, I see things. I'm a prophet.
A clairvoyant and an astrologer. Yes.
Okay. Put a bait.
Please read my palms. What do you see? What's my oh, sorry.
Put a bait to it, and I will bring out my binoculars to read the signs in the horizon.
All right. I'll put a bait after I've called my bank manager. Well, who is yet to stare from his early morning sleep. So let's leave the bait for now, because I'm sure you will not be able to tell me.
I knew you were going to chicken out.
Chicken, whatever, clock.
All right. Let me agree with Adora for now. Just for now, but we will also leave the forecast for another day.
But trust me, it's cool. It was cool this morning.
It's cool, but it has the tendencies of being warm again later in the day.
See? Senami Oyema weather forecast. I thought I would just give. But there is something that we cannot leave for now. You know, did you read the story of the killing of the marshal of the commission in Yenogwa in Bayelsa State?
Yes. Which one now? Tell me.
What's happening to Nigeria? remember yesterday, an elderly road marshal who was to have retired next February was killed, and I'm wondering what's coming. What is happening in Nigeria? It's really, 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 really disturbing.
Well, from now that you mention it, I think that he was involved in a clash with a policeman.
Yes, a gang of fully armed people, and then he was pounded to death. He was beaten up in his office, and that was what said happened, and he was beaten to death. So before they could get to him, yes, they couldn't rush him to the hospital and all of that, so he died.
Oh, so he died.
Yes.
Wow. So what is being done now? Any investigations underway?
Well, for now, I think that, the people that got him beaten up, the armed gunmen, I think they're going to be looked into and, of course, apprehended. But for now, what I think is really, really sad is how people can break into somebody's office, where's the security, and beat somebody. I'm sure that he was screaming and shouting for help, and nobody came to his aid, and then beaten to death. So I'm wondering what
exactly.
Yes, some say it's premeditated, some say it was known, some say it was something that was was done by motive. So I'm just worried, the safety of people like that, especially in government.
It's really worrisome, and actually it makes one very angry. For him to be in his office at the time means it was during office hours.
See what happened. The policeman whose car was blocked got angry, by the fact that I made it, and
so
came out of his car and attacked the marshal, whose car stopped him from driving. The marshal's car stopped him from driving against the traffic, so he tore off his rank and dragged him out of his car.
Oh, he was going to drive against traffic?
Yes. And the policeman got furious and got angry and said, because you're a road marshal, let's see whose uniform is bigger or better.
Wow. And the furious policeman was driving his private car and was he wearing a multi dress?
Of course. A policeman in mufti was said to have driven against the traffic, but I don't know if he was wearing his uniform or he had his tag or he had his badge. What happened was that for the fact that he was breaking the law, I think that was just enough, for him to actually stop and actually own up. But you know what? There was a time I actually was driving against traffic. I think I was going to the market, and I did not see the traffic light, and so I drove past, and I was stopped. And I had press on my car, all of that, and the man said, you're supposed to be leading by example and all of that. You're supposed to. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Okay, what am I supposed to do? What's my penalty for this? And he read out the rules and everything. I said, okay, I'm sorry, I'll go down with you to the station. I explained, and it was sorted out amicably, and we became friends at the end of the day. In fact, he started telling me how they are, not paid well, how their housing, we should come under a special feature, but I think it wouldn't have amounted to that if I started saying, who do you think you're talking to, blah, 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 blah. I think that people should actually obey the law for the law and not work against the law, because no matter who you are.
Honestly, Adora, when you look at it, a policeman is supposed to maintain law and order in the society, in the community, wherever they're posted to. But you find that it's the same policemen, just because they're wearing a uniform, it's all right for them to beat traffic lights. It's all right for them to stop in the middle of the road. It's all right for them to go against traffic. Definitely. It's all right for them to break all the traffic rules. It's all right for them to speed beyond the speed limits, and then you wonder. And then when a citizen, a civilian, does the same thing, he is torn apart.
He was not even under emergency, nothing. And other marshals were there, colleagues who were being manhandled by policemen who turned to an officer. Of course, the officer simply made a call on his mobile phone, and a gang of fully armed policemen descended on the FRSA office, throwing canisters of tear gas and shooting at anything in sight. You can imagine it. The old marshal could not even run away from the rampage police gang and all of that. He was beaten, matched, and hit with rifle butt until he died.
God. Adora, you mean this is happening here in Nigeria among personnel of disciplined forces?
Tsunami.
These are agencies that are supposed to be working together, and then a police gang, now a gang. work together to kill another.
When we had the Minister for Interior and of course the Comptroller General of Immigration, and there was one question that was mind-boggling, and I'm sure for everybody, what is the process of recruitment for these people? Who are these people? What is their background? What is their track record? It could be anybody for that matter. They could forge all kinds of personal documents, and if somebody could act as barbaric as this, you wonder if they're not better off on the street or behind bars, and it's really sickening. Now, what the Inspector General of Police, it's sick. What the Inspector General of Police does with this case will go a long way to actually determine what I will think about the police and how I will relate with any policeman in future.
Now, if policemen can kill because the vehicle of their officer was blocked, what can they not do? How can the police relate and trust personnel of such a force? How can anyone, how can the public relate to these same people and trust the same people? And now the police is on a campaign. The police is your friend. How is the police my friend? Tell me, if this is happening, how can I trust the police to call them when I have an emergency, to call them when I'm being robbed, or to call them when my house is on fire, and not be sure that they won't come into my house and pick up whatever is safe, whatever is left from the fire? This is really annoying.
We had a guest, was it yesterday or the day before, that said if he traveled abroad, when he sees the police, he feels safe and calm and relaxed, knowing that somebody's out there watching over him. When he comes back to Nigeria and he sees the police, he ducks, like he takes cover. Imagine that expression for a department, an arm in the government that's supposed to be taking care of its people, and now they are known for maiming.
Oh, wow.
Well, see what is happening in the southeast states, and of course, let's leave that and see. Let me take you over to the southeast states now. Kidnappers have completely overwhelmed the police. Now, the quantity and the quality and type and sophistication of arms in the southeast, especially in Anambra State, has made kidnappers and armed robbers kings and controllers of the state. Like, when the police hear that there's a raid somewhere, they just sleep. They don't even bother. It's almost like they are afraid to do their job.
Well, that's another story entirely. Some people will tell you that the kind of picture we paint tends to portray these states as having failed. But for goodness sake, when a former speaker of Imo State House of Assembly can be abducted in his own home country and held for 8 weeks, traditional ruler abducted from a church service, what else can anybody say? What is left to say?
And the people have resorted to prayers instead of relying on the police. They're asking God to deliver them, because the police can kill at the slightest provocation. Imagine just parking in front of a policeman, and how dare you park in front of me? Shoot. God, how can the citizen trust them? Now, anyway, this is the police for now, and talk of something more entertaining. After all, today is Friday, and I don't want to spoil anybody's day. In fact, I'm feeling groovy myself, so I don't want to be sad.
In as much as I don't want to be sad too, I can't help it. It's okay, like you said. Maybe let's go on. Do you know that? Well, I no longer hungrily look forward to weekends.
Oh, God. This is not what you said in the beginning.
I have been told.
This is not what you said in the beginning.
Well, I've been told to, to this early morning banters. I've been so used to it, talking, sitting in front of the camera, talking to people, and I feel like I see them talking back at me.
Yeah.
Especially when they call in, I can see their eyes, and I miss it.
Okay, what gets to me? What gets to me is really, when Adama is on, and she's saying, she said one of her fans were like, "Oh, I was waving at you, and you were not waving back," and she said, wave back hard enough." And sometimes I actually feel that, like somebody's talking to the serious girl.
I know how.
I know. I saw in the market. It's not Dora. That sort of thing. And I kind of feel that connection. But what can I do? Hello.
Morning again.
All right. Well, these early morning conversations have become the food of life for us. And talking about the food of life reminds me of love.
It's not Valentine.
Whatever.
We've gone past Valentine. I don't know, what has love got to do with it?
Oh, you want to sing now? I knew you would sing.
Got to do with it.
Not karaoke. Help me. When we after work later, you tell me, I'll take you.
Are you in love?
Oh, please. Not me, but the new French president, Francois Hollande. Tsunami, who is the mistress?
Now, that's a good question. A woman in love and in a relationship with a man she's not married to.
Is a mistress.
A woman in love and in a relationship to a man that she's not married to. That's what I think. Yeah? Right?
No. I bet you differ. Somebody actually defined mistress as such. A woman in love with a married man but kept as a single woman. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, in other words, a concubine.
Yes, of course, a concubine. So where are we going with this?
Let me give you the gist. I'm sure you'll be interested. Maybe if you haven't heard it already. Francois Hollande is going into the presidential palace with his concubine, and the French people are cheering, Viva! Viva Presido! Carry on! They behind you. Well, not in these words, but...
Imagine that. I thought that France is a strong Catholic nation, and Catholics frown at a man taking a second wife.
Someone will say Catholic bow. I don't know what that means, but I've heard people use that expression. Well, that's the irony. The French frowning at a second wife because they don't allow it legally, and endorsing a concubine in the presidential palace. I mean, wow.
I'm thinking, Adora, now. Okay, you're not allowed to take a second wife for whatever reason, but you're allowed to carry a single woman about on your arm, on your shoulder.
No,
as
carry
what?
A concubine. Use the word.
So it's better to be
a concubine.
Okay. Concubine. And imagine the French media reporting that South African President Jacob Zuma took a fourth wife, which is to be preferred, a fourth wife in the presidential palace or a concubine. I think I would prefer a wife anytime, any day.
Yes, but Jacob Zuma said,
that is not the issue. That is not the issue, Adora. The issue is Jacob Zuma decided to marry and took his own wife.
That is the African mentality. You see, let me tell you something about the Western
world. Is it not better, Adora, than the man who goes into his presidential villa with the mistress?
Right. I'm sure you've watched the movie Argentina that Madonna acted. Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Yeah.
Now, if you follow the rhythm and the storyline of that story, you will know what concubinity is really to the core. But let's not go into movie analysis. Now, my expression here is this. Jacob Zuma is an African man. It's an African thing for a leader such as him, who especially from Zulu, to take more than one wife. In fact, you can marry 10 if you want. But in the Western world, it's monogamy all the way. And it's very unlikely you're going to see a white man say, I have 2 wives, one lives in Beckenham and the other one lives in Wiltshire. It doesn't happen. For them, it's a taboo. It's almost frowned at. So when you find a lot of people having divorces, it's because they want to marry somebody else, and then they divorce that person and marry somebody else. And where does that leave that? But now it's no longer that. It's taking her proudly on your arm and flashing her around. And the lady doesn't even care. Adora,
in America you hear of divorces, especially celebrity marriages, divorce here and there, celebrity battle for custody of the children, money, and all that. But eventually, when they settle down after their divorces, they fall in love again. They marry again.
They wake up one morning and said, I don't love you anymore. I've lost the spark. You used to hold
Will you stop acting up?
Sorry. And then they say, I move on. You have to move on. I need to find my
love you, but I have to move on.
Oh, I love you, but I'm no longer in love with you.
All sorts of excuses. And then they get married again. I think I can relate to that. My grouse with, the French people is, how dare they, cheer this man on and then report Jacob Zuma like, ooh, what is he doing?
Oh, yes.
And then, but it's all right to take a concubine.
Please.
Maybe you should be the judge.
Let's get serious.
Let's
get serious. You remember that in the course of the week, we raised concern over the statement made by the former military head of state, General Muhammad Buhari, who, of course, said that blood will flow in 2015, and if the election is not free and fair, of course, dogs will meet baboons. That was the expression.
Oh, yes.
And we had wondered if the prediction of bloodshed was all the former head of state could offer as an answer to any perceived weakness of Nigeria's electoral process. Well, that matter will be our talking point in our interview segment today. I'm sure you will like to join us, of course, and we'll have our regular segments, of course. Today is Friday of the edition of Kaakaki Cover Story, special features, and of course people, events, and places. Sports business, sports extra, health tips to the Dama, and lots more. I'm sure some people were thinking we're going to talk about concubines today, but sorry.
No, we're not talking. But keep your fingers crossed. Maybe we'll invite Francois Hollande to come and explain the difference in culture and the difference in beliefs between France and South Africa.
Well, now it's time for headline news. So relax, enjoy, and grab a cup of coffee if you can.
Thanks for joining us. 4 new ambassadors to Nigeria presented their letters of credence to President Goodluck Jonathan at the State House on Thursday. The new ambassadors are Sid Kuzechi of Iran, Marco Antonio Garcia Baku of Mexico, Taure Maman of Cote d'Ivoire, and Veslak Baskosti of Belarus. Speaking to the ambassadors during separate audiences, President Goodluck Jonathan invited the new ambassadors to take advantage of the very warm and cordial relationships existing between Nigeria and their countries to further develop economic activities for the mutual benefits of the citizens. The first wave of a West African peacekeeping force has landed in Guinea-Bissau to help bring stability up. Some 70 soldiers from Burkina Faso are part of a planned deployment by regional bloc ECOWAS. According to an ECOWAS statement, a total of about 600 troops are expected over the coming days. Guinea-Bissau was just weeks away from holding a presidential runoff vote when a military junta took over. A Somalia court in Hargeisa, the capital of self-proclaimed Somaliland, has sentenced 17 civilians to death for attacking a military base. Somaliland officials said the death penalties were handed down the day after the attack, in which 7 people were killed. An armed group carried out the attack, claiming the military had built on land that they had owned for generations. Somaliland had escaped much of the violence that plagues Somalia. The war crimes trial of ex-Bosnian Serb commander Ratko Mladic has been postponed because prosecutors failed to disclose some evidence to the defense. About 7,000 pages of evidence which should have been passed to Ratko Mladic's lawyer were not handed over. The defense has asked for 6 months to process that material. France's new government has held its first cabinet meeting and announced a 30% pay cut for President Francois Hollande and all his ministers. The cut reduces Hollande's monthly salary from 21,300 euros to 14,910 euros. The cut contrasts sharply with predecessors Nicolas Sarkozy's decision to increase his pay on entering office. Non-Hispanic U.S. white births, now the minority in U.S. William Frey of the Brookings Institution says the changing faces of the U.S. pollution will alter priorities according to estimates of the latest U.S. Census data. Children from racial and ethnic minorities now account for more than half the births in the U.S. Black, Hispanic, Asian and mixed race births made up 50.4% of new arrivals in the year ending in July 2011. It puts non-Hispanic white births in the minority for the very first time. The opening of Berlin's long-awaited new airport has been put back from June probably until March next year because its fire safety system is not ready. The delay is seen as a major embarrassment as the project has been beset with postponements and mishaps. Berlin Brandenburg Airport cost 2.5 billion euros to build. Airlines have been selling flight tickets for the airport for months. Its technical director, Manfred Kottingen, has now been fired. Medical officials in New York State have confirmed that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s estranged wife died of asphyxiation and caused by hanging. Mary Kennedy was found in her home in Bedford on Wednesday afternoon. In a statement, the family of the 52-year-old said her radiant and creative spirit would be sorely missed. Kennedy, a lawyer and a radio host, is the nephew of President John F. Kennedy and son of Senator Robert F. Kennedy, both assassinated in the 1960s. What a shame and what a loss. Those are the headline news. Kaakaki will continue in a moment. When we come back, it will be time for our cover story for today, and you don't want to miss that. Stay with us.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
Exciting
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
All right, thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, I say a very, very warm welcome to you and a beautiful morning, hoping that you pick up your cup of coffee or tea or whatever you prefer, a hot chocolate, and sit up and stay with us as we ride through Kaakaki, the African Voice, this Friday morning. It's a Thank God It's Friday edition. And now it's time for our cover story for today. And Adora is standing by to bring us all of the details. AD.
Yes, and now today, you know what we're talking about.
What are we talking about?
Well, let me tell you a little story. Yesterday, walking down past the main road around Wuse, what was I doing with Wuse the whole of yesterday? And there was this big billboard, and it had a big mosquito, and the mosquito had claws, yeah? And then it had a mosquito net one side, and then another, it also had moustache. And I was wondering,
Dora, the mosquito had moustache?
I mean, it's not me, it's the billboard.
Come on. Okay,
and then underneath it, you know, said, let's kick out malaria from West Africa. Let's kick out malaria from Nigeria.
Okay, and so what about the mosquito's mustache? Now,
that's exactly what I'm saying. I was now wondering, is this how the mosquitoes really look up close? Dangerous. Like, okay, everybody needs to get a mosquito net.
Okay, so I guess we're talking about malaria.
Yes, we're talking about malaria this morning. All right. We know that malaria kills over 1 million people annually, most of which are in Africa. In Kenya, mosquito scouts are trying to reduce breeding sites of these deadly insects by reducing the multiplication of mosquitoes. I wonder how that works. And also using mosquito nets. Perhaps the environment can become safer for all of us, and we could actually learn something from Kenya. Let's take a look and go to Kenya.
Has just come across a mosquito breeding site at a homestead in Kenya's coastal town of Malindi. She's a mosquito scout and often goes out to neighborhoods looking for signs of the insects. If left to mature, the larvae will develop into mosquitoes that can transmit diseases like malaria or elephantiasis.
There are many mosquito larvae here, and since the tube they breed in is not a permanent structure, the owner says the water is for his livestock. He needs to pour just enough for the cows to drink, so that there is no water left.
I had a problem with my well, so I decided to use those bathtubs to store water for my animals. I didn't know that mosquitoes were breeding there. I now know how to prevent this.
According to the World Health Organization, malaria claims about 1 million lives worldwide every year. Majority of victims are aged below 5 years and live in sub-Saharan Africa. Mosquito scouts like Mwana Amani are trying to change this. She's a volunteer with Puma, a group started in 2006 to get communities to clean up their surroundings and help control malaria. In town, Mwana Amani sprinkles some bacteria to help destroy larvae in a blocked drain. She says, though, that the trash will need to be removed. Mwana Amani's work is already having an impact on some residents here.
It's good to see the mosquito scouts working here because some people don't understand the importance of keeping their environment clean. Everyone must chip in because the municipal council cannot serve all parts of Malindi on their own.
She's taught us how to keep our surroundings clean and cover water drums to prevent mosquitoes. We've managed to control mosquitoes here because of Mwana Amani. Malindi town is found along the Indian Ocean coastline, and the warm and humid conditions here make it perfect for mosquitoes to thrive. There are now over 250 trained mosquito scouts in the town who are sponsored by donors to serve about 50,000 residents. The scouts have also been able to help researchers like Dr. Charles Mbogo map out areas with mosquitoes and find ways to get rid of them. Dr. Mbogo works for the Kenyan Medical Research Institute and says he's been recording fewer malaria-infected mosquitoes over the last 4 years.
We have good achievements in this particular aspect, as we have been able to reduce mosquito populations in Malindi, or urban Malindi, by about 70%. And the malaria cases have also gone down by about 60% also in the same area. I would attribute this maybe to the programs that are going on, scaling up of ITNs or long-lastingness in the communities, telling them exactly how to use them, and also level control that we are also putting in. We have also been putting in environmental management, which the people actually do the work themselves by removing those sources of mosquito breeding sites.
After field work, Mwana Amani meets her colleagues at the office to discuss their findings today and the solutions they plan to implement.
Nilipata kuna kisima kwa mzee fulani hivi kule Muyeye, ambaye hicho kisima anatumia tu maji yake, anachotea ng'ombe wanakunywa. Anachota kwa kisima, anaweka kwenye madude ambayo ng'ombe wanakuja wanakunywa pale. Lakini hicho kisima nilipata kina mbu wengi sana. Sasa ile ningetaka nilete kwenu hilo ili tushauriane tuone ni kitu gani tunaweza fanya pale mahali ili wale mbu wasizaliane pale.
Wajulisha hata hii suluhisho ambayo tuko nayo, kwa sababu hata sisi wenyewe tunajua wazi ya kwamba hii dawa ambayo huwa tunatumia kutreat haya maji hayana side effects kwa wanyama ama kwa binadamu, ni vile tu yanaua umbu, na sidhani kama atakataa.
Scientists in the continent are still working on a malaria vaccine that can eventually eradicate the disease. If successful, Kenya hopes to roll out a vaccine by 2015. At the Malindi District Hospital, health workers say that they have seen a significant drop in the cases of malaria treated here.
On average, we'd say 1 to 2 patients a month. That's if you look back at our record, as I said, due mortality and morbidity, we have 1 to 2 confirmed cases. We find the majority of the cases actually there are no malaria parasites which are seen. And we have complete confidence in our laboratory and the results that they give us. So from that, we have only 1 to 2 confirmed cases. And usually with the appropriate medication, majority, if not all, go back home cured.
Use of treated bed nets is also being encouraged as efforts to reduce mosquito populations continue. But even then, some people often find other ways of utilizing the distributed nets, making it difficult for mosquito scouts to work efficiently.
Haya ndio matumizi mengine ambayo hayastahili ya neti kutumika.
This is how some people misuse the net. They say they don't like the quality of these nets, that they are rough. So it's used to protect their chickens from birds like hawks. This is very bad.
The mosquito scouts are working on plans to replicate the program in other parts of the country because they believe this will give Kenyans a better chance at fighting and even eliminating malaria. Efforts to control the disease in Malindi have already made a significant difference, and perhaps this model can also help save many more lives elsewhere.
%20% reduction in malaria in Kenya.
And 60% reduction of the quantity of mosquitoes that breed on a daily. Well, but you see, that's talk about commitment. I am so moved by Milande is her name. You know, her commitment and her passion. You see, this is what we keep saying. We talk about on the show every day. The need to, when you need to create change, you have to first be that change.
We need to be productive.
Exactly. So you have to do something before you see that change that you desire.
You know, just think that they can just need money, they need capital. Look at what you're using, the stick and the little.
Exactly. Remember, thank you. We had a guest who talked about when you're about to start a business, what you need. The first thing you need is not capital, because if you have the capital, you may not know what to do with it.
Definitely.
The first thing is a plan, information, what to do,
and passion, of course.
And of course, and then look around you. What do you have to use, you know, to make that, to create that change that you seek? And you know, that's what that lady, like you said, she's just using just a wood, a stick, and a cup to fetch her water, and then her hand, and then she pours the chemical which she uses to reduce mosquitoes into the waters, and then she makes everything. And people have learned from her. A lot of the members of the community said that they're very grateful to her because of her now. They know how to prevent.
And I think another thing that I liked about the nurse was when she was talking about the rate of the number of people that actually go home. Almost everybody goes home. But what I didn't understand is actually the chicken with the mosquito net. I mean, are they trying to protect the chicken from having malaria so they don't eat malaria-infested chickens?
Well, chickens too.
Chickens, I used to say chickens have malaria. It's not me.
I don't know. We have never carried out that test. But hey, maybe they have. What I think is that, of course, you know, when a place, the breeding area, when a place is dirty, it's, you know, mosquitoes are prone to breed in such places.
The water that it gives them.
Exactly. So maybe to prevent mosquitoes from breeding around the chicken, the poultry, that's probably why the chicken are wearing hair nets and all of that. So.
All right, no problem. Well, I think we have another special feature, right? And what's happening is about some mining, mangrove or something like that.
Yes, we do have another special feature, and again, well, still on the environment. From the mines of the mangrove, the man tells the pathetic story of his journey to become an environmentalist. After sustaining injuries that left him unable to work for a year, he didn't give up on life. Rather, he got better. He went for training to be a tourist guide, and that is what he is today. Let's take a look and maybe learn lessons from his experience. Let's join him.
This is the story of one man's journey from migrant mine worker to an inspirational environmentalist working to protect an endangered mangrove forest. Enoch Mtambeki is from rural Pondoland in the Eastern Cape province of South Africa. He worked in the mines for over years, which later sadly led to an injury. He could not work for a whole year. Being his family's sole provider, it became very difficult for him to support them.
I'm growing up here in these villages surrounding and studying as a boy to migration look after work. I'm starting to work on mines, Rustenburg platinum mines. the rest of my time. More than 20 years I'm working there. Well, now things are not going right sometimes. As I was working, I got a strong rock falling above me, turning my head lucky, fortunately, turning my head and hitting me at the back, breaking me my spinal vision here. I was spending a year not working at all. After 7 to 8 months, I'm starting to use the crushers, use my bed first, surrounding my bed. By the end of the day, I make my decision to come back home. Although I'm coming back home, my pocket was not good at all in terms of financial. I'm thinking when I'm here at home, scratching my head, my kids asking me a lot of questions. Hey, Dada, I want to go back school. I want to go back to school. I was not aware. What must I do? I don't even to think. I started to be a part using my own environment on that time.
Today, he's currently teaching his people how to manage the community's natural resources.
David, speak. He's telling me if we are conserving this, we will make a business. Today is not a business, but we are thinking furthermore about to change it, to make a business. This natural resource.
During his training on conservation, he started learning about tourism, which then led him to make a decision to go back to school to increase his knowledge as a tourist guide.
I was there. Once I got these trainings, I was there on the sea to try to talk with my community to understand. It's on that time now I'm starting to learn about tourism in our area. That is the time I'm starting to look how to conserve our natural resources. I'm going back to start to be a tourist guide and start from We started a group of people. We started a business of horse trade on that time. Really, it was coming all right. I was managing that business, working together with the people. End of the day, working together with the school children. End of the day, I'm there at Imbizo meetings. My major point with them, I'm trying to tell them, to show them about the importance of our environment. All this big one here, that is a black mangrove. You can see it's growing in one place. The strongest one is a black mangrove, because they can grow on the dry land, as you see at the top. They can grow there nicely. The red mangrove is growing on the muddy state near the water, like this side. That is, most is a red here. The root is like soft mud. It's growing like this. It's like soft mud.
He has now started a business, and he passionately believes that it is important for people to learn and know about the importance of the environment.
That is a business to do this, because the young boys and girls are doing these projects here. Like we're using the canoeing while we are doing this research. So 5 guys are working here as a life guide and taking these tourists here. is coming the business with them instead of sitting home doing nothing. This estuary is too big. 137 hectares wide. Walk along. If we can paddle from here, maybe the whole day, we never finish it. Because there's a lot of creeks here. Skip. Here's a skip. It's not stopping from there. And they are hiding. I'm telling them easy answer. As long I'm not spending my time in the taverns. That one thing. I was praying the Lord as I'm losing the job at mines. Please help me not spending my time on the bottle of beer each and every day. I'm not saying I'm not drinking, but it's taking my whole day, my whole time. It's living in the tavern, doing such a things. I done before, but I can't. That is not my life at all. That is why I am telling the people, I know, it's all right, we are sitting there. It's up to you to stay there. But my time I'm spending in the forest. I will change this. Maybe they're going to help me sometimes on the way. I don't know when.
I'm not going to spend my time drinking beer. I am going to make a change. It's up to you. If you want to stay there, you stay there. You know, like, this is so inspiring, from not being able to work, to using crutches and then coming back and bouncing back. It's incredible.
And you know one thing he also said that strikes me, apart from being an environmentalist, he knows that when his environment is conserved and his environment is perfect, he can also make money from that. And that's why he also trained to be a tourist guide. Of course, no one will come and see his environment if it's dirty and unkept, and if it's not green or the water is I'm beginning to sound like him. Yes. Or the water is
You know what really is inspiring is a mangrove, is a swampy area, and so many people will not be motivated to be putting their legs in muds and going back there, but you could see the amount of little tiny crabs jumping from tree to tree, the little salamander, the little tadpoles, and the sea. Gosh, the beach.
You just felt like diving into
just skin this and just forget this Kaakaki thing. Where's this place I'm going? But what I could tell was the way he was educating the younger crowd and the way they were wrapped up in everything that he was saying. And one thing that was key, he said, even though, yes, I know this is what I love doing, I would want to study to be a tour guide. And that is actually showing the ambition at which he wants to carry this forth. And I think it's something that people should do. I mean, once you fall, you should learn to stand up.
Again, Adora, don't forget, when you inspire to do something, it has to start with you. When you seek change,
you be the change.
Be the change. It's just what we said earlier. Look at him too. He knew that he had to get up and do something productive and do something about his environment, preserve and conserve his environment. And now he's making money out of just doing that.
I think what I will say about that is that if you can think it, you can do it. So I think you should just go out there. I know some people, I saw a cripple, somebody who was physically challenged on a wheelchair, and he painted his body green, white, green, and his chair green, white, green, and his face green, white, green. And he, at the back of the chair, he said, Nigeria, great nation, great people. And he just keeps cycling, everywhere cycling. And you know what I'm thinking? As soon as I see him, the more I see him, the more he's believable. And you might not know it, that man is actually creating change in that local community. ADA, Adama is around. Good morning.
Talking about change this morning, Adama.
Yeah, you're talking about change.
Yeah,
yeah. It's interesting how the Western world is changing and becoming more and more openly polygamous, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's really interesting, the thing with the new French president. And you know, I was watching a documentary last night, and they were doing something called polyamory, where 3 people are in a relationship, not necessarily a threesome or an orgy or whatever. This was 1 woman and 2 men. They were all living together. And like being polygamous, you have your own day. John, tonight is your night. Ian, tonight is your night.
What
America, what country else would it be?
Oh, my.
It's America. And it's polyamory. And then the second guy goes out and dates too. If you want to date other people, fine.
That's an open relationship as well.
Yes, open relationship, but with 3 parties in the relationship and not necessarily having sexual relations at the same time.
Wow, that is dangerous still.
What?
Are there rules in that kind of relationship?
They all work together. They all contribute to their own upkeep. Anybody can date anyone they like. No one is supposed to get jealous that one is having sex with the other or not the other and all that. And then it's like a family of 3.
No, that's not a family. We'll look for another name to give.
She actually had a baby for one of the men. She actually had a son.
Could it be the result of some psychological imbalance, or I don't know, because it's not normal.
Yeah, I guess
for a woman, I'm coming from a feminine perspective. A woman is jealous. She's an occupier. She's territorial.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, duh.
I can't possibly do that. I mean, it's crazy. Well, let me go to my health tips, and then maybe we can talk about that a little bit more this time. I'm finishing up migraine today, and I'm sure that the whole thought of having another man living with you and your woman will be giving you a migraine right now. And even for the women, just thinking about another woman living in will be giving you a migraine, although that is the reality for many women, even in Nigeria. But that's by the way. Now, I've been telling you a lot about migraine. I've talked about treatment. I've talked about management. I've talked about seeing a doctor. And today we're going to look at some self-care measures that can help you with migraine. Now, some self-care measures can actually help ease the pain of a migraine headache. You can try muscle relaxation exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, meditation, and yoga. And these do not require any equipment for you to use them, so it's not a problem. You can actually use them. You can learn them in classes or at home using books or tapes, or you can spend at least half an hour each day doing something you find relaxing, like listening to music, gardening, taking a hot bath, or reading, or thinking about people who are polygamous if you're not yourself. Get enough sleep, but do not oversleep. The average adult needs 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. I get 5, so I'm not doing that really. It's best to go to bed and wake up at regular times. Like for instance, you go to bed before midnight, you wake up at 5 or 6 as well. Now rest and relax. If possible, rest in a dark, quiet room when you feel a headache is coming on. You can place an ice pack wrapped around in a cloth on the back of your neck just here and apply gentle pressure to painful areas on your scalp where you're feeling the pain, just gentle pressure. Now keep a headache diary. I told you about that before, and it's important, and you need to continue keeping your headache diary even when you have seen your doctor. It will help you learn more about what triggers your migraine and what treatment is most effective to treat your migraine. Non-traditional therapies may be helpful if you have chronic migraine pain. Acupuncture. In this treatment, a practitioner inserts many thin disposable needles into several areas of your skin at defined points. The people doing this are pros, and then clinical trials have found that acupuncture may be helpful for headache pain. Now, a lot of you think of acupuncture and think there's something diabolic or sinister about acupuncture. Same for yoga. I mean, I've had people ask me, yoga, it means you're worshiping some devil or whatever. That's crap. It's just relaxing your mind and doing exercises that relax you and relax your muscles. Acupuncture is actually very, very good, and I could actually refer you to a good acupuncturist and help you to find one if you need acupuncture. It's really, really good. Now let's look at biofeedback. Biofeedback appears to be especially effective in relieving our migraine pain. This relaxation technique uses special equipment to teach you how to monitor and control certain physical responses related to stress, such as muscle muscle tension. Manotherapy, massage. Ooh, I love massage. I remember my sister's back in town. Yeah, she was out of town. Now she's back. Massage and chiropractic treatments may help reduce the frequency of migraines, and it can improve the quality of your sleep, which can in turn help prevent migraine attacks. Herbs, vitamins, and minerals. There is evidence, well, there is some evidence that the herbs feverfew and bettabor, I don't know where you can find those, don't ask me, may prevent migraines or reduce their severity. A high dose of riboflavin, which is vitamin B2, now that's more accessible, also may prevent migraines by correcting tiny deficiencies in the brain cells. Now, coenzyme Q10 supplements, Q10 is actually what they put in the cream you put on your face and all that, may decrease the frequency of migraines, but they have little effect on the severity of the headache due to low magnesium, of course, levels in some people with migraines, because magnesium supplements have been used in the past, but with mixed results as well. So you have to ask your doctor if those treatments are right for you. Don't use any of those herbs supplements if you are pregnant. When you are pregnant, people, once more, don't take anything, medication, herbs, vitamins, whatever they market to you, without asking your doctor first. That's very, very important. Now, whether or not you take preventive medication, you may benefit from lifestyle changes that help reduce the number and severity of migraines. One or more of the suggestions may be helpful to you, but if it is, well, let me know. If it's not, well, don't bother. Avoid triggers. If certain foods seem to have triggered your migraines in the past, avoid those foods. If certain scents are a problem, try to avoid them. Now, that's interesting. What if you have a man or a woman and their scent triggers a migraine in you and you don't want to hurt their feelings? What do? You suffer in silence. Oh, honey, I love you, but my head is breaking. Well, I don't know. Maybe you should summon up courage and actually tell them. It's like telling your partner that their breath stinks. I have no tips on how you go about that one, so let me go on with what I do know about. In general, establish a daily routine without regular sleep patterns. With regular sleep patterns, not without. With regular sleep patterns and regular meals. In addition, try to control your stress. Exercise regularly. Regular aerobic exercise reduces tension and can help prevent migraines. If your doctor agrees, choose any aerobic exercise you enjoy, including walking, swimming, and cycling. Warm up slowly, however, because sudden, intense exercise can cause headaches. Obesity is also thought to be a factor in migraine headaches, and regular exercise can help you to keep your weight down. Obesity is practically a factor in almost every illness, and it's not a good thing to be obese. Now, reduce the effects of estrogen. If you are a woman who has migraines and estrogen seems to trigger or make your headache worse, you may want to avoid or reduce the medications you take that contain estrogen, which means you need to know the content of the medications you put into your body. Take the time to read and you will know. Now, these medications can include birth control pills and hormone replacement therapy, which is sometimes used to treat menopause. Now, talk with your doctor about the best alternatives or dosages for you. Now, let me do the meal of the day quickly, and then just to Adora and Kanami a little bit about what their weekend plans are before I run us. So, meal of the day. I fell down, and as a result of that, I started bleeding through my right ear. Please, what do I do? Because some smallish substance is coming out of my ear. Please advise me. Thank you. Marcus. You need to go and see a doctor. You need to see who will see the ear to ascertain the depth of the injury. It's obvious that you may have burst something or hit something in your ear when you fell down like that, and you may be having an infection in that ear. So he will need to know if your hearing was in any way impaired by that injury, and will suggest that the inner ear is infected, or that it will suggest a prompt visit to an ENT doctor. An ENT doctor is an ear, nose, and throat doctor who is a specialist that will treat you properly if you have complications. For now, keep the ear clean using warm water and ear cotton bud so that your ear does not get infected. But the best thing to do, Marcus, go and see a doctor immediately. You don't want to be a deaf Marcus. That wouldn't work for you now, would it? No, it wouldn't. So that ends migraine for this time. And ladies, what are your plans for the weekend? You go first.
Plans. Adam, are you gave me. You invited me some time ago. I'm thinking maybe it's this weekend.
Yeah, come. Abandon them. Abandon the boys over stage. Let them not be the mom and dad for once. Let them have a dance with them. Let them know that we're super women.
I'm going to take you up on that.
I think it's a good idea.
Oh, you found the rest of it. Because, within the week, she was like, I need to get away. I need to get away. I need to get away.
I think now and then it's good to just leave the man alone with the kids and all that. Let him take care of children and juggle work and kids and everything and say what super women are.
And they'll say thank you.
It's amazing. You care for the children, you care for the man, you care for yourself, you do your job.
House. You cook, you clean, you wash. Really, women are super.
And I think this brings me back. I went to a hospital, I think 2 days ago, and a woman, she came to do immunization, and then they're bringing out one baby after the other. And 4 kids, and the man was just like with his whole hands full, and all the kids were crying. I was like, are they all yours? She said, I have quadruples. It's like, we have 4 at once. And was it by CS? No, that she had them through natural delivery. She insisted on having them through. That he has a new respect for his wife. He loves his wife. Like, you're telling all the men there, respect your wife, love your wife, praise your wife, take care of your wife.
I'd like to
never lay your hands on your wife. He was just going about preaching, and I was like, oh God, what a realization. Like something hit in the head. And the kids the 2 boys are identical, the 2 girls are identical. So beautiful. I had tears in my eyes. But for me,
I do too. Just listening to it. I didn't even see it, and it's
so sweet.
Very sweet. I was blown away. But for me, tomorrow night, tonight is a hen's night for me. My friend's getting married, so I want to sell her a little and make her do all the bad things for the last time and then
what's your weekend like?
Never mind what my weekend is. It's
you're cheating.
I know. I'm a cheater. I'll cheat my way out while you continue with the Kaakaki thing.
All right. Thank you, Dema. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
When I saw the lady with the 4 kids, I remembered you. Was like, okay, no.
Okay, I didn't have mine all at once. Oh, I'm grateful for that. A lot of people love to have twins, but after I had my first son and I had to tend to him all by myself, after my mother-in-law left, I was like, goodness, this isn't easy. It's like I imagine doing 4 at the same time. I'll pass. Right. Anyway, we'll take a break. When we'll come back, it will be time for Inside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us. An accident involving a gang of armed robbers sent panic around some parts of Port Harcourt, the River State capital, early Thursday. The gang of 4 operating in a commercial bus ran into trouble at the Rumukoro roundabout when a gas cylinder they were carrying in the bus as part of the weapon suddenly exploded in the bus. The loud blast sent people running in different directions as it was thought to be a bomb. Security agents, however, mobilized to the scene where one of the robbers who was seriously injured was rescued and taken away. Governor Rotimi Amechi, who later visited the scene, appealed to the people to go about their lawful duties and stop spreading panic through rumors. A team of security experts is now in Imo State to partner with the Imo State College of Advanced Professional Duties to combat the increasing crime wave in the state. Headed by a retired lieutenant from the state of Maryland Police in the United States, Rodney Jodao, the experts specialize in the training and handling of dogs that can track kidnappers as well as keep surveillance at banks and government institutions.
Not only are we doing that, we're also bringing this technology to all of Nigeria. We're going to be training police officers here from different states. Right now we've got 1,000 and number of police officers going to be coming here that we're going to be training in all aspects of security. Range, sniper, weapons training, along with counterinsurgency groups to deal with kidnapping and other issues that are going on through Nigeria.
How to manage your security effectively using all types of gadgets and tools available. Our police, our security men all over the country, especially now that we are faced with great security challenges, have an opportunity to be properly trained here.
By the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to arraign the Sensitive Committee on Capital Market, Hembe, before an Abuja High Court failed as the man refused to enter the dock and take his plea. Hembe's troubles began during the investigative hearing on the capital market when the chairman of the Security and Exchange Commission, Aruma Oti, raised allegations that the committee sought inducement and were even sponsored for an overseas trip. Hembe had denied the allegation and later relinquished his position as the chairman of the committee following a series of invitations to the EFCC. Hembe and his former deputy, Chris Azubogu, were charged to court on Thursday. Azubogu was not in court, but Hembe, who appeared, refused to be docked. He had filed an objection to the charge, describing it as frivolous, challenging the court's jurisdiction to try him. He says the ESTA code he collected was used for the purpose it was given, and that the matter is strictly a civil issue. Trabubakar Umar has fixed May 28 for hearing. Nigeria's House of Representatives is seeking a stop to the constitution of caretaker committees to administer local council areas in Nigeria. In a motion on Friday by Itula from Edo State, the House is asking affected governors to immediately ensure that all local government councils in the Federation are manned by democratically elected officials.
The Shaki youths, who were led by a former chairman of Warren North Local Government Council area of Delta State, Honorable Michael Diden, who is also known as Ejile, that's my junior brother here, and Honorable David Tonwe, a former chairman of Warren Southwest Local Government Council area, on 2nd of October, disarmed as a group, the Shaki National Council.
Chief coach of the Super Eagles, Stephen Keshi, has released the list of foreign-based players invited to camp for the Africa Cup of Nations and World Cup qualifiers next month. The list comprises 2 goalkeepers, Vincent Eyama and Austin Ejide, skipper Joseph Yobo, Elderson Echijile, Efe Ambrose, Victor Moses, Omasane Aluko, and Fengo Ogude. The others are Ahmed Musa, Ikechukwu Uche, and John Utaka.
We've seen these players for 10 years playing for Super Eagles. I think that somewhere in Europe, there's somewhere around here, there are other players that can give a lot for this team. So we just, we're not experimenting. We know these players that can do something for Nigeria. They are willing, they are hungry, and that's why we're bringing them in.
AR Chizumofo Bare, who was at the FIFA Goal Project when the list was released, reports that an additional list of 18 players will be made public to form the 22 who will prosecute the international friendly against Peru in Lima on May 23rd. That's Inside Nigeria. Kaakaki continues in a moment. Don't go anywhere. Of course, you know that when we return, it will be time for our interview segment. Stay with us.
Serious. I wanted to avoid it, but I thought of running away. You thought of me? What are you doing here? David! You want your gate man to stop me from entering your house?
I want to let you know that I will win the competition.
Devastation, deception, disbelief, love, and dismay. Trust in man is deadly. Your close friend, your worst enemy. The Burning Spear. Burning Spear, a story of multi-identity, suspense-filled, educative, and entertaining. The Burning Spear.
Come on, let's go.
Nowhere. It's just a bunch of prejudices about the different communities, but nothing substantial about the cause of the conflict.
It is becoming expensive to have you there.
If it was you that lost your brother, would you do it?
Family ties, a thorn in the flesh.
To be seeing my daughter every day is not small money. Your daughter, when he's concerned, my pocket is never afraid. Oh, well, I will do everything. And then I sure.
It's Carrie. Yeah, I don't like anything that has to do with jazz. It's like,
Come, you be like say hungry, never why are you rich, Abby?
You know nothing about football, so there's no point asking. Organize your cup and not your body. This one not the couple.
Oh, well, see, baby, it's not my money.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
Very welcome. Still, this is Kaakaki, the African voice. Don't mention I'm just trying to distract me. Of course, this is Friday, and a lot of people are waiting to let their hair down after work, already in the mood to actually let their hair down. But first of all, I think we should take you out on an outing with sports. But of course, we're dealing with the business in sports, so this is sports business.
It's a pleasure to welcome you. This is Sport Business on television. Sport Business, you know by now, it's not just one of those sports programs on television. It is meant to make you understand that it's a mega business globally. In Nigeria, we can do it better than the rest of the world. But we've not started yet. That's the challenge. We've got to start somehow. And that's why Harley Sport International is pioneering this move in Africa from Nigeria to make sure that we get it right. We'll be breaking when we'll come back. The Sport Business News.
Between three nurses and a doctor, find out what matters in Clinic Matters.
And I wonder what someone like you is doing in such a noble profession where so much courtesy is required. Can you attend to this woman?
Because the nurse who has a pilot just gone in to prepare to test her temperature.
He's not planning to tell his wife until the other lady delivers. It's not heartless.
Is this our business if your husband impregnates another woman?
The only problem I have is with people making silly and grave mistakes, especially in marriage. You are
business in the sports.
Welcome back to Sport Business. If you just joined us, this is a special edition dedicated to the UEFA Champions League, one of the most lucrative football league across the globe. And of course, when you talk about the UEFA Champions League, clubs, when they do qualify, they do celebrate, because from the very first match in the group stages, it's money, money, money. UEFA is about money and nothing else. To get to the quarterfinals is enough money to sign some good legs into clubs that loves to get to the quarterfinals. And when you do get to the semi-finals, the money is mega millions. And then when you get to the finals and go ahead to win, it's something else. So we'll take a break and we'll come back. The executive guest segment today will be on, and of course, you can guess what we'll be discussing.
People should be resigning their appointment.
It's supposed to be a business, but it has become another arm of government, and it's also suffering from the malaise that have bedeviled government in Nigeria.
We want a good Nigeria
that are benefiting at the IOCs. Why? Because they have a tax regime, a royalty regime that was framed over 42 years ago.
Just the thrill, the business in the sports. Sports business. X-ray the business in the sports.
Welcome back to Sport. Welcome back to Sport Business. And today it's a pleasure. After a long while, we've been hunting him. Not head hunting. We've been hunting him to come back with us on this show on Sport Business. Haven't been there with us in times past. But hey, it's been pretty difficult to get him. But we thank God he's with us today. And it's good to have him. Welcome with us, Mr. Demetuk. It's good to have you back in our studios.
Oh, thank you so much, Godwin. It's good to be back.
It's been tough trying to catch up with you.
Well, I'm really sorry, but I'm happy and I'm glad to
finally you're here.
I'm here.
All right, straight away, UEFA Champions League is one that everybody identifies with. Club football in Europe is a peak of club football across the globe. And when clubs do qualify, especially from the minor countries, when Platini came on board after taking over from Lennart Johansson as president of UEFA, he did say that he needs to break some barriers so that small clubs like Apua Nicosia from Cyprus that got to the quarterfinals and they're celebrating. Cristiano Ronaldo's money alone can buy that club, pay all the salaries of the players and the officials, and then take care of every other thing. And yet they got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. For them, they won the league. Interestingly, Madrid sent them packing. So it's a big, big, huge pie for everyone to share from. Big cake, but in Africa, it's still $1,000.
well, God, I think we're gradually getting there. If you look at Africa of old and Africa of today, I seem to see a glimpse of hope. I was in Zambia recently, and I had the opportunity to go towards Zaire, and I discovered that most of the players that played, the core of the players that played in the Zambian national team were coming from a club in Zaire. And the owner of the club pays them equivalent of about $20,000 monthly. And for an African team, $20,000 monthly.
That's awesome.
Oh, great. So
no wonder they don't like to leave. They stay there.
All of them stay there.
Because they can go to Europe and not get half of that.
Yes. I discovered that the players play there year-round. They only come into Zambia probably to see the family, because it's a journey through. You can go by road, even though it's a bit far, but you could go back to Zaire quickly, join the club, and move on. Mazembe.
TP
Mazembe. Most of the players play there in TP Mazembe. And if you check, a lot of them came back to play for the national team at the Cup of Nations. And so it's a great thing. So let's not completely feel that it will happen. One day it will happen. We're gradually getting there.
I'm waiting for the day a Nigerian club side will pay a Nigerian player $20,000.
Hopefully we'll get there very soon. But you see, gradually also is the fact that what we need people who are forward-looking. Michel Platini came and restructured UEFA. That's how teams like Upwell, Nicosia from Cyprus could get as far as they had gotten. And gradually you find teams coming from the ranks, from the lower,
Marcel from Switzerland, send out money.
Sure. So you find teams from the lower Europe coming into the core of football in Europe very soon. What does it take? Good money, because when they go as far as they can go in UEFA, they make more in the Champions League. They make a lot of money and they buy the best of players. That's what you need. And they build bigger stadia, and before you know, the money starts rolling in. Good contracts, commercial contracts here and there, communications, all whatnot. You've spoken it all. But today we're going to be talking about the Champions League. What is it about the Champions League? It's money, money, money. Each 32 teams that came into the Champions League at the inception got a minimum of 3.9 million euro as participation fee. What does that tell you?
To just come in and participate?
3.9 euro. So what does it do? That's enough to pay Upwell and Nicosia. All the players, everything about them, it will take care of that. So if they are getting that, what does it tell you? Next year, they're going to get better players. 500,000 euros for every match played in the group stages. That's a lot of money also. And so on and so 800,000 for every win, while 400,000 for a draw. So you get a draw, you get 400,000. You get a win, you get 800,000. So the clubs that go further make more money.
That's right.
That's what it means. So when you get to the round of 16s, they receive 3 million euros per match, per club. The quarterfinalist takes home 3.8 million euro.
So from the inception to quarterfinal that Upwell dropped out, you could calculate the mega millions that have come into the club's account.
Of course.
It's huge.
Of course. These are the records that UEFA keeps. What about from gate taking?
That's right.
What about commercial rights? There are club sites, there are companies in Nicosia, Cyprus today that will say, look, we didn't know this club can go this far. Because they become very, very popular. And so communications, commercial rights and so on begin to flood in. And so that's the one we are talking about, UEFA telling us, what about what the club earns eventually? Now the bushfire effect, it has a bushfire effect. You win this, you get to this level, other things fall in place. So some of these things we're talking about, we may never get the full impact of it until probably in a year or two, if the club continues to perform consistently.
That's right.
So at the semi-finals, each of them gets 4.2 million euros, whether they win or lose. Yeah. And so you find out that at all times, these clubs are ahead of others. Go and check everywhere. It's either it's a Bayern, it's a Real, it's a Barcelona, it's a Chelsea, it's a Man U, it's a AC Milan, it's a Juve, Roma occasionally. And so you know that the big clubs will keep coming to the top. But what Platini has done is to allow clubs like Marseille, who are promising, clubs like Montpellier, who will come up later, clubs like Dortmund,
Lokomotiv Moscow,
yeah, Spartak Moscow, Inclusive, and all the others.
Zenit St. Petersburg,
yeah, and Rubin Kazan. These are clubs that we're looking forward to seeing in the future come up prominently to play in the Champions League. And so that's what Platini has succeeded in doing. Open up this thing so that it's not limited to a few clubs, but even the smaller teams in Europe can be part of the pie. That's what it's doing.
Fantastic.
So in the finals, the runners-up, you were talking about runners-up, takes about 5.6 million euros.
The magnificent stadium in Munich, the Allianz Arena, all seated, all covered, and a stadium, the design out of the world. That's where the final is going to be played tomorrow, and you can be sure that both teams are all gearing up to take it. So what does it take to win the final? How much would the winner smile to the bank? You've just told us the runner-up.
Oh, yes.
So a winner smiles to the bank with what figure?
Oh, about 9 million euros.
9 million euros.
9 million euros, the winner smiles to the bank. But I tell you, whoever smiles to the bank will have enough money to prepare for the next
season. So cumulatively, on the average, what, if you put it all together, the winner of the Champions League, what does it take home?
It takes home 15 million.
No wonder all the clubs, the big clubs that get to this final stage, begin to hunt for the big players, and they are ready to splash the cash.
Incidentally, that's only just the sign-on fee. Ronaldo for a Kaká, for who else? For a Messi.
Messi.
And even a Torres. That's a 50 million euro for a Torres.
Now, outside this payment, direct payment to the clubs, there are other appendages like media money. They look at the countries that have the highest media by the clubs that get the highest percentage as well. So,
of course,
these are also not, calculated in.
They are not, because right now I know that in England, Chelsea seems to have that. There's this preference for teams in the EPL. They look at their commercial viability and then rate them the highest. So for every championship that you see, the English teams earn almost more than what other teams will earn. So you find out that what a Chelsea team will earn, for example, getting to the finals. Semi-final is what an Apoel Nicosia will earn if he wins the championship 3 times. If he wins the championship 3 times, so that's what he will earn. So it's almost 3 to 1 what they earn because of the commercial viability. And so that's the difference. But generally, I must praise Platini for having the courage to do this. Because Europe, if you recall, at a point, the teams in Europe were trying to form a league on themselves.
That's right.
A team on a league on their own, where you had the best of the teams in Spain, the best in England, the best in a few other places, Germany here and there, and there were supposed to be about 8 or 10 teams in the league, and so they could play across countries. And so what he has done is to break that down and bring in teams from less known countries, teams that have prospects, and also spread football in those other countries. Almost what FIFA is doing in Africa. Go there, build infrastructures. In Europe, the infrastructures are there. The people only need the money to discover the talents and put them on the screen for everybody to see.
Okay, Sport Business, if you just joined us, today we're looking at the UEFA Champions League, and you know that tomorrow is the final. You can put your money on any of the clubs you're supporting. It's your choice. Essentially, we're looking at what makes the UEFA Champions League the hottest property in Europe. It is the hottest property every brand across the world wants to identify with it. The number of eyeballs that watch UEFA Champions League across the world has increased, and UEFA is capitalizing on that.
Of course. Of course. You see, what a Johansson did not see is what a Platini is working on. Slipping on. A Johansson made it look like a regular tournament, not so much of the commercial side, but
you know, there's this adage that says what an old man sees sitting under the tree, he sees farther and better than the young man climbing the tree. But in this case, I don't know.
Yes, I was also saying that the young man, the older man sees stability and peace. The younger man sees calculated risk and opportunity. What a Johansson would love the Champions League to be.
As it was in the beginning, so it is now.
Don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat. But what Platini has seen is, look, we could make more money.
Right.
We could integrate football and expose it to a larger segment of the people of Europe and the world. We can get more money into these teams, and we can bring out teams of tomorrow. Now, who would have thought about the Opel, that a team like that would get that far? Now, we also know that the regular teams are AC Milan in Italy, Juve and Inter Milan. We also know that in England we had the Chelsea, the Arsenal, the Man U, lately the City. In Spain, of course, we know the regulars: Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia occasionally, and so on and so forth. Now, what has happened? We're seeing other people come up the ranks. Dortmund won the league in Germany, but Bayern Munich is there.
One of the takeaways for on a positive note is moving the Champions League from a Wednesday night
to Saturday. Sure. That's a good one. That's a good one, because everybody will be at home to watch. What does that tell you? It tells you that millions and millions of people, more millions, will sit back at home on the Saturday to watch the Champions League final. And what does it do for the commercials?
During the African Nations Cup, CAF told us that the match between Zambia and Ghana in the semi-finals, attendance was 12 million. But in actual fact, attendance was less than 2,000. I mean 12,000. They said it was 12,000, but the people that took records said it was less than 2,000.
Now, who do you believe? I was watching Man U's match, and it was so clear. Attendance was 75,000
all
plus.
The statistics will be given.
You had 75,000 people watching a match. And why are you watching that match? The kind of publicity that attendant organization, proper organization that goes with matches like that, you can walk in safely, watch the match, the publicity is there. But that's not what you get in a CAF match.
All right, we'd like to thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure having you in our studio.
Thank you, Godwin. The pleasure is mine.
We'll take a break here.
Not just a trail, the business in the sports. Sports business. X-raying the business in the sports.
Thank you for being part of us today. By the grace of God, next week, same station, we'll be back on another interesting and thrilling episode of Sport Business. God bless you, and bye-bye for now.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
In the appointment,
it was to be a business, but it has become another arm of government, and it's also suffering from the malaise that have bedeviled government in Nigeria.
We want a good Nigeria first.
That are benefiting at the IOCs. Why? Because they have a tax regime, a royalty regime that was framed over 42 years ago.
Ball in. Still with Morocco. Surely.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
Now listen. The law is now beyond argument that the effect of the nullification of a thing, not necessarily an election, the effect of nullification of a thing is to completely wipe out, obliterate, remove, undo, erase, or render it ineffective.
Why must Nigerians pay the crime that has been perpetrated by this cabal? The Bisi Olakino Show, BOS International.
I think the congregation tonight should be a period for celebration of the incoming, the end of the legal year, the beginning of the legal year, yet a period also for sober reflection. We have signed into law several legislations whose implementation will help us provide the service delivery that you expect of us.
Friday morning, and of course I'm sure that you're already at work if you're watching this, or perhaps on your way, or it's your day off. Well, it's now time for us to actually talk about what we are going to be dealing with in the interview segment. In fact, going straight into it, and like we said, when we started during the in the prologue, that we're talking about Buhari on 2015 elections, and of course the remarks and the statements that he made. Of course, we know that there is no doubt that Nigeria's democracy is young and full of inadequacies.
These inadequacies range from institutional weakness to wrong attitude by political players.
However, efforts are being made to strengthen the institutions and entrench a democratic culture in the Nigerian polity.
These efforts cannot become a major word to solve all problems at once.
And that means that progress and positive change will come incrementally, of course, in Nigeria.
Almost every commentator acknowledges that Nigeria's electoral process today is far greater improved on what it was in 1999 and can only get better.
Can say that again. That is not to say that there are still no challenges in the system, if I look at it today.
Whatever achievements that have been recorded have come through the collective effort and sacrifices of political players in Nigeria.
Well, I believe it will be therefore difficult to ignore the progress recorded so far and the prospects of improvement which Nigeria's political process shows, and predict disaster for the future of Nigeria's electoral process.
This seems to be what the presidential candidate of Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, General Muhammadu Buhari, did a few days ago when he predicted bloodbath in the 2015 election.
Now, even as he predicted his position on if the election was not free and fair, the prospect of a bloodbath, which General Buhari pointed, disturbed the Nigerian people. But why is the former head of state seen a sea of blood? How nationalist and enabling was his position? Apart from a bloodbath, what solution to a flawed election is Buhari offering the nation? I mean, with that statement. And this is the issue we will be discussing in the next few minutes. And we have joining us again this morning Prince Eselemo, and of course the grand and good patron of the Ijo Youth Group and President General of Coastal Mandate, former governorship candidate NCP Delta State. You're welcome again, sir.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Prince Eselemo. All right, so let's go straight to it. You've had interactions in the past with former head of state, General Muhammadu Buhari, and you've heard recently his statements concerning 2015, that if the elections in 2015 are rigged, then there won't be bloodshed. In fact, he went on to say that the baboons will face the dogs. What do you make of that statement?
Well, to me, it's nonsensical. It has no bearing with the progress in the electoral process. I'm really disappointed in him because I had a serious discussion with Buhari before the last general elections. Transcorp Hilton here. We had a dose for 1 hour. The General Buhari then and the one today, there is a disparity that is very, very repulsive. I'm really disappointed. At that time, he poses to be a statesman who really wanted peace and who wants to make a change. But now, I see him as a threat to democracy in this country. And like I said before today in my last program, Nigerians can never be taken for a ride again. I will once again say congratulations to everybody who had that program together with us. I did categorically declare here that should they go on that protest, we are going to make a counter-protest. And as God will have it, I also anticipated that at the end of the day, the man will go to court. But I think he went to court before the process this time because he knows that there is already a crack in the Save Nigerian group, which of course wasn't his personal enterprise. And I can tell you what was latent in that very protest is the revelations you now see coming out from the general's mouth. That was what we really anticipated. Bringing some criminal action into a democratic movement you call a protest. And at the end of the day, people will die and nobody will think about that. The National Assembly cannot even call the Inspector General of Police to question. Then finally you go to court and somebody has lost his life, time, money, and calories. So we stopped it. That was arrested. So what I've come to say today here is that what we fear now in this country is fear itself. We are not ready to take any statement of threat for granted anymore.
Okay.
We have paid our dues and will continue to pay as a nationalist, as somebody that is patriotic, not to be allowing these old folks to mislead Nigerians into an unpleasant quagmire.
Okay, comrade. We've had the statement and we've actually seen the reaction of the government. We saw what the reply from the presidency was. In fact, what was even more disturbing for some people was when Buhari actually said that the federal government was the Boko Haram itself, not the Boko Haram that we seek. Now, what is even more worrying was that yesterday, the headlines for the newspapers declared that ACN was in support of the CPC and, of course, a statement that Buhari said saying that if the country was not afraid and was foreseeing a free and fair election, they shouldn't be perturbed by the statement. How do you see that reaction?
I am really disappointed in Tinubu. I'm really disappointed in these two political parties that I sympathized with. I am of the National Conscience Party, and I discovered that the Gani Fawemi's character and that of Buhari, they are not even compatible. There is no time Gani Fawemi, my mentor, made a statement that was bloody against the Nigerian people. All he did, I know him as an intellectual warlord. And when it is necessary, he does what is right to do within the confines of our constitution. Tinubu was released from Ikoyi prison, a cell. And the last we heard of him was in the United States during the June 12th election. Some other persons left this country, and there was Radio Kudurat. For any statement that will annoy Abacha from that Radio Kudurat, we were giving strokes of cane in the Donjon, in Directorate of Military Intelligence. And this is a man who subscribed to Abacha's Gestapo regime as the chairman of the Petroleum Trust Fund, General Buhari. And you are talking about bloodshed when people died during June 12th. Abacha came to power with the guns. You subscribed to his government, took part in his government, and you didn't advise. And you are saying Jonathan's government is the most corrupt ever. Of course you can say so. It goes to show that your government also was corrupt, if the Jonathan's government was most corrupt. And you were the head of state. So what corruption is he talking about? And what does he really want?
Professor Salem, are you saying that there's no corruption? Because really we've seen the biggest scale of corruption in this country in recent times.
I'm quoting Buhari and the CPC. In short, the interest of Nigeria now should transcend political party. Because I've never seen any leadership in a political party that can move the aspiration of Nigerians beyond their political party agenda. I've said so severally. So we need to take our destiny in our hands and look out for the future. We should forget about this. I don't want to use a word that is offensive. To us, it's not relevant.
But a lot of
he said the most corrupt government ever is Dr. Jonathan's government. Which, of course, it means other governments, including his own, has been corrupt, but not as corrupt as the Jonathan's government, if I have to go by that.
Okay, well,
you get my point?
Yes, and another point I want to make here, and actually, find your frame of thought on this, it's about him and this statement of his actually meaning that he might want to contest for elections in 2015, and also it also implies that when he loses, he might take it badly, and perhaps this is actually going to say how well will he be a leader if eventually, if ever, he emerges as a president?
The laws are there to take care of him. General Buhari is not bigger than this country. Let me tell you, the people from a segment of this country that expresses the wealth of this nation, they have paid a lot of prices. Money, life, from antecedents. I don't need to tell you all that. And the president in his magnanimity sees unity of this country to really make Nigerians not only share an indelible love, but share an abiding faith in the possibilities of this great country. Dr. Jonathan, the president of this country today, does not really improve or establish the aspiration of the Niger Delta people. And I can tell you that the agitation from all other parts of this country, their leadership, who wants to be president of this country, is because the constitution of this country has really appropriated so much power to the president. And this is a president who came in from a minority, quote and unquote. These powers rest on a minority, in the hands of a minority. And the constitution was so designed in such a way that when they come into power, it will be used to deal with a segment of this country in continuity with what we inherited from our colonial masters.
All right, Prince, let's look again at
so now the thing is in the hands of somebody, because somebody died. And they know how powerful the president of this country is. So I want to ask, what does General Buhari want? I think he's still finding himself in a Gestapo state, a state where headmaster to people's relationship is being practiced.
All right, Prince.
You move, you don't move.
All right.
We are not ready to take that.
All right, Prince. I want to bring you back again, still talking about General Buhari's statements. Now, you cannot take away the fact that he's talked about if 2015 elections are rigged. Now, Nigeria has not seen the best of democracy, as everyone agrees. And even though, yes, the 2011 is one of the very few that has been that was fair to an extent, according to observers. Isn't there really a worry that there might be rigging? And what should government do as far as rigging elections in 2015 is concerned? Because just like you have said, Nigerians are no longer willing to, to be ruled. Rather, they want to be led. What should government do concerning 2015, rigging elections in 2015?
You need to be definitive. Who is the government? Those who are governing this country, are they not? I've said several times that I don't want to go back to this revolution, sovereignty and all that. I've made my point so clear. We don't have a constitution. And the president has found himself in a constitutional environment operated by him that is not of the people. So we should stop begging these questions. Don't make the president take responsibility. The things are very clear there. He appoints the INEC chairman. The man is sent to the National Assembly. and his party is in majority, conditionally the man is appointed, then what do you expect your employer to do? So the Constitution
your employer can also supervise and make sure that you are in line with the terms of agreement, making sure that elections are free and fair, providing you with materials to make sure that everything goes well according to plan, and so that elections are not rigged. You have security to man ballots, voting centers, ballot papers, polling votes and everything, to make sure that, because of course if these things are not done, we'll have another incident of having touts cut away with ballot boxes, faking, voters' registration cards, multiple registration and all of that. Look, so it's still, yes, again, someone has employed someone to do the job, but when you employ someone to do the job, you also have the right to make sure, you're also supposed to make sure that the person gets the job done. That's the role of the
General Buhari should first of all apologize to Nigerians. I want to give you two instances. Which one is the real rigging? Usurping the conscience of the people to determine their future. Buhari took over government with the guns, and people went to the polls and voted. And at that point where General Buhari took over power with guns, the constitution that was of the people, 1979 constitution, was set aside. And now we have an introduction of another constitution designed or orchestrated by few who were in the military constituency to better their lives. So I feel Buhari has a serious and unreserved apology to Nigerians. We must have to stand up and say some truth. With the guns, you set aside a constitution that was of the people. You impose yourself on the people. That is no rigging, and nobody died. Okay, let's no bloodshed. Comrade, let's look at. Then you are now in anticipation saying that should there be any rigging in 2015? Okay, comrade, let's just look at the other. Nigerians shouldn't take this.
Let's look at the other military, athletes, yes. former head of state, yes. General Babangida, yes. Abdul Salami, Abubakar. Of course, they're all military head of state. Why is it that they haven't come out to say anything, especially with this statement of Buhari, which predicts violence? I mean, for like we just said, CPC is in support. What does that tell of the mind of the leaders that we have, the genre of leaders that we have in Nigeria? But first, we have former military head of state like Babangida and of course like Salami. Why haven't they, seen the violence behind the predictions of what General Buhari has said?
The knowledge and wisdom is not their exclusive preserve. I've told you that Nigerians are taking very serious exception to some of these statements. They are not even morally qualified to even make a statement because of their antecedents and positions. It's like you coming to say, if Abacha was alive, what do you think Abacha would say? And when revelations are said that several billions of naira, dollars derived from our oil revenue was off the shores of this country and located in a World Bank, and you, Buhari, you conceal these facts, you worked for Abacha, and you have no apologies to Nigerians, most especially those people from Niger Delta, who pay the price. Look at Tom Polo that was declared wanted and wanted to be treated like a common criminal in this country. Look at Isaac Adakaboro, who revolted, condemned to death, granted amnesty, fought for the unity of this country and died in action. Where he died, we didn't know, we didn't see his corpse. Look at Ken Sarawima. Name them. And this ACN that I have sympathy for, they are coming to support a Gestapo idea that is coming from a former head of state and a general of this country. The June 12th issue. I went to jail. Kokori went to jail. Whiskey went to jail. We were not even given opportunity to even come out. These are Niger Deltans. And where is Kokori? Where is Whiskey? Where am I? This sacrifice I'm talking about is very fundamental. And whatever we are doing is strictly the calling of the fundamental commitments of our heroes past. That is the calling we have. So some other person from another side of the country cannot say, there will be bloodshed. Bloodshed over what? When you are supposed to be apologizing to Nigerians? When the predicament we have found ourselves is caused by you people? Especially you? I'm talking about a constitution of the people that was set aside with the barrel of the gun. You didn't stop there. You came and subscribed to a government that made June 12th a nonsense. where people died, and you are talking about bloodshed from 2015.
Princess Elema, but
nobody has monopoly of violence.
Now, but you keep talking about the constitution that was set aside. Nigeria does have a constitution. Maybe amended, but there is a constitution that Nigeria is governed by, and that stands. But let's look at Nigerians who, you have also said that Nigerians definitely want an improvement in the electoral system, in the electoral process. Now, if they don't get that in 2015, is it not possible that Nigerians themselves will take to the streets and protest? Do you not see that happening? Because just like we saw massive outcry in January when the federal government increased the prices of fuel prices and on petroleum products, we saw Nigerians coming up massively to say no. Now, if the elections of 2015 do not go as it's supposed to, don't you foresee that Nigerians can also come out and say, no, we don't want this?
Look, Nigerians have been deceived for so long. I keep saying it. I am a victim. I am not a madman to have come to say, look, Bakari, your protest this time will not fly. We are going to go against it. It's from anticipation. We are talking about credibility. Nigerians taking to the streets, what will that take us to? People will die. What will it take us to? Because the leadership in question, those that will call you out for a protest or whatever action, those people are guilty themselves. So there is no credibility. It will take us nowhere. Not until we resolve and try to see how a common goal can be achieved. Look at the Constitution critically. And those who feel that they are true custodians of our legislative rights in the National Assembly, representing the people, see the plights of the people, and make a monumental change of the Constitution that is in place. The Constitution will not even allow Jonathan to operate. It will not allow me and you to be Nigerians.
Can you be specific? How do you mean? That the Constitution will not allow Nigerians, will not allow the president to operate? How do you mean?
I told you that he has found himself in a constitutional environment operated by him that is not of the people. Because the Constitution gives him so much power. The Constitution is biased. Designed by a few, not Nigerians, imposed on the people as a degree. With the great anticipation that they are going to use it as a working instrument against Nigerians.
But a lot of that has been amended over the years.
Which of them?
The 1999 Constitution.
Which of them? Which of the that is amended?
Okay, for instance, the FOI bill, that part was amended and has been passed into, it's now an act. And Nigerians are coming out with several other parts of the Constitution that they want to be amended. And, we're still talking even today of amendment of the 1999 Constitution. But in a nutshell, the Constitution is there. And I don't think that the federal government does not have something to work by. It is there to guide. It's a process. Yeah. So, and definitely, it's not the same Constitution that was decreed, promulgated in 1977. It's not the same
thing. The Constitution, like I told you, let us not beg the question. They have made several, BOI bill and all that. How does that fight corruption? I'm telling you about a constitution that makes a single man the Attorney General of a country, which is the Chief Prosecuting Officer of a country, and the Minister for Justice, appointed by the President of this country, a member of the executive arm of government. If you go through the FOI bill, and you get some facts about a public officer, and this public officer was appointed by the President, how do you think the public officer who is a member of a ruling party will be prosecuted by the Attorney General that was appointed by the party, nominated, recommended by the party? That is what the Constitution is telling us. Do your FOI bill. Get anybody that is a thief. But you cannot prosecute him to a logical conclusion because the Chief Prosecuting Officer is appointed by the Chief Accountant of this country.
Okay, all right.
You get my point? So that is about corruption. And all these revelations that we have right now, but are seriously on corruption.
Okay.
What we have in the Niger Delta, seriously on corruption.
Prince, I'll just cut you short because we are running out of time. Now let's look at the some people say that Buhari's statement is as a result of lack of confidence, of course, in the present electoral, mandate that we have under Jega. Now, let's look at, you said, you've given us the history of Buhari from when he was a general or when he was pro-general. Fine. But let's look at the facts here. His show for lack of confidence for the electoral process, isn't it something to worry about?
It's beyond the concern of Nigerians who are calling for a sovereign national conference and having the concern of this country as a target to deal with. So whatever Buhari is saying is beyond our concern. It makes no sense. It will boil down to the same thing. And you see, so there are people, like I said, who have sold out their lives before they were dead to put this country together. And what we are talking about this country has to do with where the resources is coming from to sustain this country as one country.
So in one word, what is your message to people out there?
In one word, I will employ Nigerians to have the calling of the fundamental commitments of their past heroes, who sees this country as one, who must make a sacrifice that is very fundamental, and to check this drift that is inimical to the existence of Nigerians.
All right. Thank you very much. I think we always run out of time with you because you have so much to say, and we can't really keep you here for too long. But thank you for coming, Prince Collins Salomo. He's a good patron of Ijo Youth Council and of course President General of Coastal Mandate, former governorship candidate NCP Delta State. And we've been talking about Buhari and of course the statement that he made towards the 2015 coming elections that will come. Hopefully. All right, this is Kaakaki B, African Voice. Coming to the top of the hour, we will take Pan-Africa, and then when we come right back, you join us again. Stay tuned.
Thanks for staying with us. The Deputy President of the Nigerian Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, has expressed Nigerians' concern over renewed hostilities between the Sudan and South Sudan. Ekweremadu, who is also the Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, was speaking in Abuja when he granted audience to the Councillor and Deputy Head of Commission, the Embassy of Sudan in Nigeria, Murtada Sharif. A military court in Hargeisa, the capital of self-proclaimed Somaliland, has sentenced 17 civilians to death for attacking a military base. Somaliland officials said the death penalties were handed down the day after the attack in which 7 people were killed. An armed group carried out the attack, claiming the military had built on land that they owned for generations. Somaliland has escaped much of the violence that plagues Somalia. The first wave of a West African peacekeeping force has landed in Guinea-Bissau to help bring stability after last month's coup. Some 70 soldiers from Burkina Faso are part of a planned deployment by regional bloc ECOWAS. According to an ECOWAS statement, a total of about 600 troops are expected over the coming days. Guinea-Bissau was just a week away from holding a presidential run-up vote when a military junta took over. A high court in Pretoria has ruled that the South African government's failure to provide textbooks to all school pupils violates their constitutional right to an education. The case was brought by human rights activists on behalf of several schools in the Limpopo province. The court gave the government until 15th of June to supply the schools with the textbooks. Rwanda football is mourning the loss of international Patrick Mafisango, 32. Mafisango, part of Rwanda's squad for next month's 2014 World Cup area, died in a car accident on Thursday morning in Dar es Salaam. The midfielder played for Tanzanian champions Simba and had just returned from Sudan, where his side lost a Confederation Cup match this weekend. That's Pan-African World. Kaakaki will be back in a moment. Of course, you know it's Friday, so when we come back, we'll bring you people, events, and places. Stay with us.
every day. Like hearing your favorite song on entertaining. The Burning Spear.
Come on, let's go.
Nowhere. It's just a bunch of prejudices about the different communities, but nothing substantial about the cause of the conflict.
It is becoming expensive to have you there.
If it was you that lost your brother, would you do it?
Family ties, a thorn in the flesh.
To be seeing my daughter every day is not small money. Your daughter, when he's concerned, my pocket is never afraid. Oh, well, I will do everything. I'm making on the name you bless that. And then I tell well, mom.
This guy, yeah, I don't like anything that has to do with jazz. Like,
come, you be like say hungry, never why are you rich, Abby? You know nothing about football, so there's no point asking.
Organize your cup and not your body. This one not the bubble.
Oh, well, see, baby, it's not my money.
Between three nurses and a doctor, find out what matters in Clinic Matters.
And I wonder what someone like you is doing in such a noble profession where so much courtesy is required. Can you attend to this woman?
Because the nurse who has the pilot just gone into...
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm sure you enjoyed that interview, and I'm sure you were raring to go on and on, but...
oh, yes, unfortunately, we didn't have enough time.
Yes, that was Princess Samuel Collins, and of course, we talked about Buhari 2015, and of course, the implication of his statement. But now, it's time to be a little gay and happy, and of course, know what's happening now, know what's happened in, of course, people's events and places. And we bring you two weddings and the 16th birthday ceremony, or 60th, I don't know if it's 60th or 16th. 60th. I think it's 60th, birthday ceremony of Barrister, of course. How can the barrister be 16 years old? That's like 16 back to the past. Barrister Mary Odili in Port Harcourt, Maya Wanchiku takes us around the social circle, and let's see how they dance and move to the beat. Hello, and thanks for staying with us. It is time for our every Friday get-together program, People, Events, and Places, PEP. I am Manya Nwachku. On the lineup this morning, you will enjoy and share in the joy of two wedding ceremonies held in different parts of the country, and a birthday bash held in the Garden City of Port Harcourt, South Nigeria. So without much ado, let's enjoy the package. Marriage is made in heaven, enjoyed and celebrated by man on earth. So it was for that reason Kemi and Rotimi said I do to each other recently in Yagba, in Kogi State, North Central Nigeria. The wedding ceremony brought together family members, friends, colleagues, and well-wishers from within and outside the country. People, Events, and Places was there.
On the 14th April 2012, Oluwakemi Elizabeth and Rotimi Blessing sealed the long years of friendship with a two-day wedding ceremony.
Holy Spirit! Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
The next morning also followed with the solemnization of the holy matrimony at the 3rd Echo Church, Udere Yagba, west of Kogi State.
Òrùka yìí mo fi bá ọ gbéyàwó. Òrùka yìí mo fi bá ọ gbéyàwó. Ara mi ni mo fi bu ọlá fún ọ. Ara mi mo fi bu ọlá fún ọ. Ní orúkọ ti bàbá. Ní orúkọ bàbá. Àti ní ti ọmọ. Àti ti ọmọ. Àti ní ti ẹ̀mí mímọ́. Àti ti ẹ̀mí mímọ́. Sàmì. Ara mi ni èdè ó fi bu ọlá fún ọ. Ara mi ni èdè ó fi bu ọlá fún ọ. Ní orúkọ ti bàbá. Ní orúkọ ti bàbá. Àti ní ti ọmọ. Àti ní ti ọmọ. Àti ní ti ẹ̀mí mímọ́. Àti ní ti ẹ̀mí mímọ́.
I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. I'm excited. This is the best day of my life.
Very caring. She's caring. She's like mother to me.
The Lord will guide them and give them all they need.
Pray that the ability that she will use to stay as a good wife, as a good ambassador of my family, God will grant her.
I wish her the best of luck. I wish her a fruitful marriage, and my advice for her is to be patient and submissive.
Patience, tolerance, and God's wisdom.
Love is definitely one of the strongest and deepest experiences in life. This was evident when Juliet and Ifedayo tied the knots of holy matrimony last weekend in Lagos, southwest Nigeria. People, events, and places brings you interesting highlights of the bond that will last forever. This wedding signifies mutual society, health, and comfort the husband and wife ought to have for each other, both in prosperity and adversity. The wedding ceremony of Juliet Esel and Ifedayo brought together families, friends, relatives, colleagues, and well-wishers who joined the couple to share their big day. The couple performed their first assignment as husband and wife to the admiration of guests present. And for the couple, what's the feeling of the moment like?
I want to love my baby. I want to dance with my baby. I want to kiss my lady. I want to show my baby love. I want to hold my lady. I want to dance with my baby. Yeah, yeah.
And what is next? It was an outpouring of encomiums at the 60th birthday of Supreme Court Justice and wife of former Rivers State Governor, Justice Mary Odili, recently in Port Harcourt, the Garden City, South Nigeria. Friends and well-wishers of the Justice who came from far and near to celebrate her described the former First Lady of Rivers State as an embodiment of a virtuous woman. Nengi Fine Country captured interesting highlights of the celebration for PEP.
Humility, but you will see Justice Mrs. Mary
Odili recently in Port Harcourt, where family members, political associates, other friends and well-wishers, they all described the papal conferment of them of the Order of St. Gregory the Great, and the justice as well deserved.
How somebody grew and became an epitome of excellence. Excellence in everything, in character, in building, in relationship.
If you have met her, if you have interacted with her, you will see not just the humility, but you see the wisdom in a woman of virtue.
She's looked after herself very well, and in spite of the challenges of office, we thank God for her good health.
She's a just judge. In her you have justice, equity, knowledge, comportment, and above all, the fear of God. For Mary now turning 60, it's a great joy for all of us. They are a wonderful family. She is very good.
friendly, respectful, generous, you just name it. It is simply an epitome of God's creation, a symbol of elegance, symbol of humility, symbol of excellence, symbol of simplicity. A caring mother, loving wife, honorable justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. What else can we say? Just to thank God for her life.
One of the best people I've met in my life in terms of her warmth, kindness, gentleness, forthright, focused, and she's had a tremendous influence on me as a person, as a friend. She's dependable.
If you want somebody who can stay in the midst of politicians with all their gerrymanderings and still remain the same, calm, cool, calculating, quiet, Justice Mrs. Mary Adelaide.
She's a woman who have attained so much, a woman that people respect so much. Apart from her career as magistrate to this point as the Justice Supreme Court. And so most people will have to emulate her. And we have come to identify with her and to pray that God Almighty will give her more light.
Grateful to God that the church remembered to honor her today. And we thank God and give him the glory for this honor.
Her spouse, Dr. Peter Odili, went down memory lane, describing his better half as a dependable ally. He encourages intending couples to marry for the right reasons, most importantly, for love.
God has blessed us in every department. So we can't thank him enough. So all we do is spend the rest of our life praising him, working for humanity, and pursuit of happiness, which can only come from God. For young people, marry for the right reasons, marry for love, and make God and Christ the center of your marriage, and you can't go wrong.
Highlights of the occasion was the cutting of the 60th birthday cake.
Oh yes, it is good to celebrate memorable moments like our birthdays and more. Now, on People, Events and Places, PEP, you will have the opportunity to showcase upcoming events such as meetings, luncheons, seminars, festivals, coronations, shows, weddings, birthdays, dinners, and lots more on our window slots. And on that note, we close shop on People, Events and Places, PEP. I am Mania Onwachku, wishing you a pleasurable weekend. Kaakaki, the African Voice, continues in just a moment. Stay with us.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African Voice.
Dear Mom, what you do today can create a better...
Budgeting. Questions such as, do we need an NMPC in the first place, must be asked. My view, we don't.
He is the field officer. He has the responsibility to ensure all operations regarding arrest and all that is conducted in the usual manner.
Engaging emerging topical issues in the polity.
The mere fact that we pay for 24 million liters of
of petrol on a daily basis, which is not is shocking. And I think now people should be resigning their appointment.
It was to be a business, but it has become another arm of government, and it's also suffering from the malaise that have beset government in Nigeria.
We want to do Nigeria first.
That are benefiting at the IOCs. Why? Because they have a tax regime, a royalty regime that was framed over 42 years ago.
Good ball in. Still with Morocco. Surely.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
Hello, very good morning to you. This is Kaakaki, the African Voice, and of course it's time for us to talk about newspapers. Of course, we did see that the celebration of Mary Odili 60th, but she did look 16 years of age. But let's see what the papers are saying this morning. We'll start with Nigerian Tribune, and talking about crude oil this time around, and moving away from all the Buhari story, which was, of course, making waves yesterday. Nigeria's crude oil sales declining daily, and this is coming from Okonjo Iweala, with the rider saying speedy approval for $7.9 billion external borrowing plan, and the other one says its external reserves hit $36.8 billion. And we have another headline story going, as singer Donna Summer dies at 63 years old. Of course, you know Donna Summer, the great vocalist, who has also done some great country collaborations. ACF may OK Sovereign confirm, and that is the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Vanguard is looking at Northern Governors Uniting for Presidency, and that is what is being said as a major headline story. It says 2015, Northern Governors Unite for Presidency for 2015. And of course, Buhari is back in the story, and the writer saying Buhari's state and failure to manage Nigeria's resources embarrassing, says Governor Aliyu. Buhari's statement reasonable, that is coming from Arewa youths. And then we have another headline story going, as Nigeria not broke, saying Okonjo Iweala is against, Nigerian Tribune saying as external reserves hit $36.8 billion. So the different news are in the papers, but from varying storylines. But if you want to have a look at it, and you think you should buy your own copy of Vanguard newspaper, we have another major story there in Vanguard. Federal government to concession Apapa Oshodi Road, and that is coming from Vanguard. The Nation newspaper is talking about, of course, Northern governors as well, and here it's saying 2015 North governors back Buhari's warning, and that is against yesterday we brought to you that also ACN has also pitched cap for Buhari in consideration and acceptance of the statement saying there will be blood shed in 2015 if the elections are rigged. And Forum plans to arrest growing insecurity, and that is another rider. With another story, which is a Salami story, saying Salami rejects retirement offer, plots to scandalize PCA uncovered. And that is going on in the Nation's newspaper. Salami rejects retirement offer, plot to scandalize PCA uncovered. Now we move over to this day. Let's see what they're bringing us today, being Friday. Talking about ACF, Northern Governors, of course, one against incitement, and that is coming as a major headline story. And another one goes on panic in Port Harcourt. This explosion rocks commercial bus. With police saying it's not a terrorist attack, which we earlier saw in the news where the governor said, of course, nobody should be afraid, and it was just normal, accident like it would, not a terrorist attack with an explosion. But here it says panic, however, in Port Harcourt as the explosion rocks commercial bus. Police says it's not a terrorist attack. Headline stories go as ACF Northern Governors warn against incitement, and that is coming from this day newspaper. Let's go narrow it down, see what they say. Still talking about the Northern governors this morning. It's going as 2015 Northern governors plot against Jonathan, say the region will unite this time. 2015 Northern governors plot against Jonathan, says region will unite at this time. And this is talking about the 19 Northern state governors under the umbrella of the Northern States Governors Forum, NSGF, yesterday resolved that the region would unite against President Goodluck Jonathan and other candidates from the South in the 2015 presidential election in order to produce a president from the North. And that is coming from National Mirror. If you want more inside stories, continued on page 2 of National Mirror newspaper. We also have below the masthead, terrorists blow up Kano Primary School as police detonate 2 explosives in another one, which is continued on page 8. Federal doctors begin solidarity strike on page 2, and that is talking about, of course, in concession and in agreement with the doctors who have also been sacked in Lagos State by the governor, Fashola. Blueprint newspaper. Let's see what the printed today. And this morning, we see above. Let's look at above the masthead first of all. ACN advocates of falsehood, which is coming from PDP on page 3. Gas explosion. Chevron must pay $3 billion fine, and that is coming from federal government on page 46 of Blueprint. We're still talking about disco queen Donna Summer, who has actually also done a little bit of some numbers. That is 63 on page 48. Let's zero it down now on the major headline for this newspaper this morning, which is going still on the Northern Governors story. 2015, we will unite for common mandate, says Northern Governors, and of course talking about the NSG, the Northern Governors States Governors Forum, who wrote yesterday after saying that they will want to produce a governor candidate for the 2015 election, and so have decided to go against and gang up against the president, the current president. Leadership newspaper. Let's see what they're leading with this morning, and it's going for 2015. Interesting, all the papers seem to be actually thriving with the story. North must unite for single candidate. North must unite for single candidate. Northern governors in 2015 presidency, North must unite for single candidate. And this is coming from Leadership newspaper. Major headline story for this morning. Above the masthead, we have payroll software uncovers excess 14 billion naira MBA's salaries. PDP to ACN, stop promoting falsehood, and that is continued on page 6 as another insert headline story. Interesting read there if you ask me, if you want to it. Below the masthead, we have explosion rocks Port Harcourt, and says 1 killed, AK-47 rifles recovered, gunmen attack schools in Kano State, and that is coming underneath below the masthead of the major news headline this morning. We have Tribunal dismisses Abubakar Aldu's petition, OK's Wada's election on page 8 of the Leadership newspaper, and opposite that, my mother, my mentor, and that is coming from Governor Fayami on page 7 of the Leadership newspaper. Of course, we have a story of the payroll that is thriving above the masthead. It's that one. Uncovers excess 14 billion naira MDA's salaries, and that is coming from the integrated personnel information system, of course implemented by the federal government. So let's leave that now. Let's lead and go back to let's go over to Daily Sun this morning, see how bright the sun has come out this morning. Talking Northern Governor still, and but from a different point of view, says inflammatory comments. Northern Governors warn Buhari, and says promise to end Boko Haram is coming on as a rider, and says yet to decide on 2015 presidency, and that is on page 3. Of course, we know that is continuing on page 3. So if you want an inside read, if you want more inside read on that, you please go to page 3 of Daily Sun newspaper. Below that, we have Governors Chime, Fayami, bury moms today, pages 9 and 12. If you want to commiserate with them, you can read up and bear with them their loss on page 9 and 12. We have, of course, we also lost Donna Summer, died at 63. Well, some will say she's fairly lived a good life. And below that, robbers bus explodes in Port Harcourt, 1 killed, 2 injured. And just below the masthead, with that insert picture of Hembe, Capital Market probe, EFCC bungles Hembe's trial ex-chairman, deputy accused of Esther Code diversion, and that is continued on page 7, of course, in the Daily Sun. Federal doctors begin sympathy strike in Lagos today, continued also on page 8, of course, in support of the fellow doctors who have been fired, asked to leave work. Daily Trust, let's trust them, see what they bring. This is saying Islam bomb, and this is coming, of course, as the major headlines are. And this is also coming from Kano. The newly built Islamia school was bombed at Kano on Wednesday, and this is very, very unfortunate, as it is a government for Chakat, and of course a story on the non-United Fund. And last but not the least, people see what coming from the Federal Character Commission. It was accused the Niger Delta Development Commission of violating the employment guidelines and, of course, calling for the immediate halt to the ongoing recruitment of lawyers, engineers, and etc., etc. Well, the rider goes on and threatens legal action, and which we know that is what every usually do. But this one is the major story. Character Commission faults NDDC recruitment. Below that, we see the scene of yesterday's explosion involving carrying arms ammunition at Rumokoro roundabout in Port Harcourt. Person killed, and above that we have the interesting story that comes out to me. The UTME candidates used handsets as sanitary part to cheat, which is actually ridiculous. And donor someone dies at 53. Chevron, of course, to pay $3 billion for Bayelsa oil spill on page 3. And 2013 budget ready in September, Okonjo Iweala promises. So